Alright, welcome back everybody to Phlox'em. We're doing another one of our deep dive videos here, moving back to this deck, Kareem Cenlas the Fourth. This again, just one of my favorite, kind of longest standing decks I've had for a really long time. It's a very consistent, sort of high B tier deck. It's not going to win any kind of tournaments most of the time, but very fun to play. Lots of interesting decisions, very kind of chessy sort of deck, even though a lot of the individual cards can seem really straightforward. Working our way towards 100 games. We got 12 left to go. We'll see how many we get in today. Probably just be a couple, but we'll go ahead and just hop into one here. So I haven't been taking a lot of notes on the matchups or anything here. I know with like kind of the NARP system and everything that some people have been doing, there's a lot more of that going on, and maybe for my next round of this we'll do that, but this deck I'm kind of just going. I think I'm going to mulligan this hand. I know I've got 3/3, but I really like to see some of that Logos efficiency to start out with if possible. To start the hand shaping early. Kaimor, Umbra. I think we just go back into Logos here and deal with this stuff and get some of our artifacts back on the board. This is going to be an interesting matchup. They do have some things that will probably hurt us, both between the Saurians and the Infernus. The Shadows I'm not super worried about. They have a little bit of stealing, but for the most part, we can play around too much to protect fairly easily, especially since they don't have a ton of like capture. They do have one red or Galem, which can really bump up the too much to protect play, but we'll see. We're gonna go ahead and just Lost in the Woods these guys. Pretty sure. Glorious Few for 2. After some of the games we've had, that doesn't seem quite good enough, so we'll go ahead and just toss those guys. Play this and then discard the Cooperative Hunting. Feels a little bad getting rid of so much of my creature control early. But if they're not able to kill this Witch of the Eye here, we should... Oh, there we go. Stomp the Brooded on Auxiliary. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go Sanctum here. It's an even worse Glorious Few play, but I just need to start developing some kind of board. And we've at least kind of slowed down their deck cycling here, because they've had to kind of deal with a lot of our stronger creatures, but... Let's see, no Infernus yet. Take that. So we know we're not going to Wild Wormhole into the Effervescent or the Key Charge, so I'm pretty tempted to just go Logos here. Try to get a little bit more Amber so that next turn we have a chance at the Untamed Key Charge play. Problem is, does that leave me open to snag if they want to go back into Dis? It's probably worth it. Let's go Logos here. So we're going to do the Wild Wormhole. Throw down a Murmook. We're going to throw that on right. Drop this guy on the right. And just leave it there. No, we're going to discard that Effervescent. This is not a deck that looks like it's going to do anything super quick. They do have the Tribute, but they're not doing a lot with that Tribute except trying to put it on something with a Scutum and killing it off. Yeah, so fights the Psychic Bug. It's kind of what we expected. It's a pretty unfortunate turn, but again, it's not a great turn for them either. So I think we're all right with that here. See what they hit. Probably Lost in the Woods and Psychic Bug. That's fair. And unfortunately did not draw into anything else useful, so entire turn is just killing that snag. And still not quite enough Amber to go into a Key Charge turn. I think whenever possible, we do want to try to key charge in this matchup. See if he fights. No, just reaps. Okay, I think that's totally fine. They don't have... Yeah, they don't have like any warding, so really my Lost in the Woods are a problem for them. It's too bad he already purged one of them, but we do have the other one sitting here. Going to Sanctum here. Drop Sequus. Play the take hostages, except I don't think we're gonna fight. Just gonna reap, try and get those amber totals up so we can hopefully do this next turn. Okay, sack of coins to kill the Murmook. So we got 1, 2, 3. So we can key charge this turn. So I think that's basically just going to be worth it most of the time. What do we want to bounce here? We're going to Lost in the Woods. That is going to be my 2 Sanctum guys, which is okay. We should get the Ezekiel later. Or not, is it Ezekiel? Or Remiel? I always get those two confused. I think it's Ezekiel. The Redian fight. So Odoac's going for sure, because we need that for the key charge. Yeah, I think it's just going to be the Quester. Try to keep him going slow. Do this for... We'll just go 3 houses just to try and, again, slow down whatever they're doing, and then we'll key charge. For a key, so they can play Infernus here, but they're really just purging value cards instead of Amber, which honestly is probably a great idea for them. It's worth it while some of these things are in the discard, because this deck could, yeah. So there's Rock Grub for no value, we're fine seeing that. And a Lilithal. Okay. So they did not play 3 creatures, so we're going to go into Logos. Let's do Brain Eater on the right, get that down, Mother on the right, and then we're going to phase shift in. And since they didn't play 3 creatures, we're not going to play this Life Web yet. I think this is a deck that could play 3 creatures in a turn fairly easily. So we're going to hold that for a little bit longer, just to see if we can get the value. Against these Infernus, we're definitely going to need to get some of that extra value off things like this in Glorious Few. But hopefully, this lets us start cycling pretty quick here to get back into that other Lost in the Woods before this stuff really gets out of hand. Okay. So, only 1 clean fight here with the Rock Grub. What other logos do we even have to draw into? Just the library. We got tons of Sanctum coming. Untamed is not great yet. I kind of like the logos here. I wonder if it's worth actually just fighting into this and anomaly exploiting it. Let's do that. Let's draw another. Okay, so we have an okay Hunting Witch turn coming up. So I could either draw 2 next turn. Since he's given us the Amber, I think I want to do it this way. Gonna fight there to draw 1 more. Fight with the Mother. Anomaly Exploiter. And then play another Mother. So we're kind of putting the pressure on them to keep building that board, which will hopefully lead into a Life Web for them. We have to be a little bit careful because we are getting close to too much to protect territory if that happens. Okay, fight's in there. Just hoping we don't see that other Infernus yet because we're so close to cycling. We don't. Okay, well, this feels a little dirty, but we're going to go into Sanctum. Taunt. give him taunt, and then we're going to capture 2 there. So that puts us right at check, protects some of our value. I don't think they have an axiom, right? No, they have the tribute. Okay. Okay, so pushed our key cost to 12. So this is where we're just going to go Logos and see if we can draw around to either the Effervescent Principle or the Key Charge to play around the Too Much to Protect. So that's basically what they're going into now. So we're going to dump that, draw, and I guess I didn't think that through because now we're still not going to draw through. But yeah, so we got the Too Much to Protect coming in. Steal for 3, and we'll see if they can also do something else here to keep us off. Yep, and trust no one. Subtle Maul dumps the Witch of the Eye. Okay, so unfortunately they did not play 3 creatures again. So we could go into Logos and try to find the EP by drawing through. Or we could just go right back into check with Untamed and kind of give them more threats on the board to deal with. Let's get into check. I think that's what we need to keep pressuring here. They're still forging for 7 because of the Murmook. Got a great Sanctum. Oh, we would have drawn into it. Dang it. That's frustrating. Oh well. We have it now as kind of a backup. And we just cycled through, so their Infernus has to hit their own stuff. Lethal Mayhem is going to do some damage. Yeah. Lots of damage there. Furnace can hit some of our creatures. Yeah, so they're not taking us off check there. They should have no more rock grubs. All right. Hunting Witch and Mother. Okay. So we're definitely going Sanctum here. Let's do Raiding Knight. Clear Mind doesn't really matter. I don't know if it's worth killing the Saurian plant. We just want to reap. Go ahead and give him... I'll put that on Zakiel. Zakiel on the right to fight the Infernus. Sequus. And this. Again, they don't have a full board clear, so... Oh, they do have the Hysteria. Let's hold this in case they Hysteria here, because that would actually be a pretty good play for them. But we would have a really nice follow-up to that. It's not a great play for them because their Infernuses are gone, but it'd still deal with a lot of my board, which they need to do. Oh, we drew into more Sanctum. So really, I think we were able to deal with the Saurians pretty early. He's probably sitting on several Odoacs again, because we bounced those a couple times. And some Imperial Scutums. Rigged Lottery could get them a big burst. Hawk hasn't come out yet. They still have a lot of stuff we haven't seen. Just depends on what they want to do. I would guess they've played so much Dis, they probably don't have much else to play along with the Hysteria. Yeah, so they're just playing down Saurian, which means we probably just go back into Sanctum and force him to have a Hysteria. And we can take him off check here with Sanctum. Reap. I don't know if it's even worth killing that, because if I can just go to check here. Feels pretty good. And we'll still hold on to that in case of the hysteria. Oh, I guess. Yeah, they weren't in check with the Murmuk anyways. Good game. So I think cycling through kind of at the end there was probably a big deal. Being able to get that key through before that second Infernus came down is probably what saved us. Things like this, after a couple turns, is really hard for me to deal with that much Amber gain, especially after they had the big burst from the too much to protect. We did have this in hand, but getting to a place where I can win the turn after playing this is really, really tough in this deck. There's just not quite enough Amber generation in the Untamed for it, so we really need this to come down after I've forged a key. So, go ahead and just hop into another one. Make sure we're not queuing in the same. I really do like that ability to kind of really control your cycle near the end of the draw. Even if you have a full hand, you have those library babbles that can just kind of like just still push you through without having to play out stuff you don't want to play yet. Or you can kind of load up your hand so that you're just holding that hand until they kind of deal with your board. Let's see. Double Mark of Dis. Double Subtle Auto is actually probably more painful for this deck. Double Red Penny. Okay, this one could be painful. Let's work towards some of that Logos to start. Oof, this is tempting now. See if they have an answer. I don't have a great follow-up if they do, but... Unfortunately, this is kind of not a combo because she would have to reap before I play it, and then I'd play another one. Might be worth it here. Throw those two back in, leave the Infomorph, which still can kill this, but is probably the least valuable of those three creatures. No Infernus, so we don't... Oh, they do have one Infernus. But again, I feel like the random discards from things like Subtle Auto can be a lot more painful if they hit cards like Effervescent Principle. And we definitely don't want to shuffle that back in either. So we're just going to go Logos. Twin Bolt. Get out that Brain Eater. Okay, so we'll see what they can do here. Going into this, so hopefully they have a decent hand. Gleeful Mayhem kind of shuts this guy down. And of course they play one. At this point, we just got to find our Logos, so we're just going to play it out. It's kind of left, Raiding Knight on the right, and then we'll go ahead and give him the armor just so that there is a small chance he can fight like a Rad Penny and survive. Do have a good Sanctum follow-up here, so hopefully we're getting to check soonish. dumps the Amber off Snurret. Mark of Dis is into Sanctum. That's our only gateway, so again, like getting this out just to see if we can Lost in the Woods it back into the deck at some point. But at this point, it's not worth holding it in hand. They didn't play any creatures. It's just killing me. I think we're going to hold out for a little bit more Untamed Burst. So let's see, he just dies if I fight that, so Reap. It leaves me open to another Mark of Display, but I'd almost rather them just get that out. Dark Wave does nothing. Mole is unfortunate. Yeah, so Seeker Needle. Either way, I'm giving them this Amber. I guess I'd rather not kill my own creature to do it. Let's see what we get in Logos. Oh gosh. Okay, so we definitely don't want to kill this, so this is at least mildly protected now. And then that will save us from a Mark of Display, so hopefully we have a nice Untamed follow-up, which this is a great draw for that, so. We do give him the key off the Mole, but I don't think there's really anything we could do about that. Just unfortunate. They do have an Effervescent Principle, so they could hit us with that here. Animator could help him blow up one of these. Seeker Needle does snipe this guy for 1. He doesn't have another damage. But he only played 2 creatures, so Life Web is still offline, unfortunately. But I think this turn is still fantastic for us. Gain a lot of Amber, get to shuffle both of these back in. The question then would be, do I actually play these guys or not? Because that leaves me open to another Mark of Display. Gonna go Untamed, Reap, Life Web. I think, how many more creatures do we have? Just the 2. Gives us the chance of a key charge turn, if we can kind of rebuild a nice Untamed hand. But definitely flying through the Amber this game. Kind of things are definitely lining up for us the way we want. The Sanctum really is what got us a lot of the way there. And then just some of these other Amber pips. Oh, there's the Effervescent Principle. That's unfortunate. I think that means it's worth it to actually just key charge this next turn and get it done before they can start infernacing more things. Is that right? Really wish we had the phase shift. I guess we could. Oh, we can't draw it now because it's going to kill it with Quixo. Yeah, I mean, we drew it. It's worth it. So I don't think I need to kill either of those. I could actually kill that after we don't have Amber. Let's do that. Do this. And then key charge. And then fight with the Niffleape so that they're not able to get the steal off. Then drop the Sad Hunting Witch. He probably dies this turn. Mark of Dis probably hurts us here, but hopefully they don't have much of a follow-up. We're really lucky we haven't seen this earlier, because I think you get a really mean Mark of Dis cycle going. Dino Fiend. Does not blow that up. So they're trying to keep the mark of dis open play too. Can't kill that with the Murmook, so I think this is just a logo cycle turn. Start getting some of that draw going. And seeing their hand isn't really going to change what I do here. They haven't drawn the other mark. Go over there, subtle auto. So most likely going into shadows next turn. But if so, unless they kill this with the look over there, we might actually get another Psychic Bug proc, which would be great. Going into this. Okay. Plays a Cinder. Oh, probably because they're going to Screaming Cave. But this actually gives us tons of visibility into what they're getting off that Screaming Cave. Fights the Murmook. I mean, this feels like a pretty solid Logos turn. We can see if they redrew into Mark. We can keep cycling. They do have Mark of Dis, but they also have the Bone Nithing, so they're going to have to choose. I mean, it seems like a pretty easy choice. Let's draw one. I don't like the stealing they're going to be getting here. But I think I actually need to kill both of those just so that their Mark of Turn play, or Mark of Dis turn, is really bad. So let's drop this guy on the right. We're going to Anomaly Exploit to blow this up. And then Phase Shift, Cooperative Hunting to kill this. And then Reap. So now they can mark us back into Logos, but the only other thing they're doing is either fighting or reaping with Cinder. Probably just fighting to kill one of these. Wow. Go into Logos, which is not what I was expecting. And then Animator for the Screaming Cave. That's hilarious, but they also might have just gotten rid of any of their Mark of Dis, so just an interesting play there. I mean, I guess we're just going to go Sanctum and hope they didn't get the Gateway. Left, Sequus, Nafil. Those guys just kind of start wailing on each other. Okay. Definitely loving this hand. Lots of options here. If they Gateway, or I guess if they mark us, then it changes it a little bit, but Reap with Cinder to steal one. There's an Infernus. I do have 2 pips, so it's easy enough for them. I only have 1 to lose, but okay. And that's the Gateway. I think this is worth this here. We're not giving them anything to mark. We're dropping down their Amber total. At this point, it's probably the right play. We just need to get basically up to 6 or 7 Amber. discards Titan Engineer. Uses the Secret Needle to kill that. It's not bad. But we do have the Murmuk, so we'll actually be able to still take him off the key here. And start gaining some amber of our own back. Probably see the Bone Ithing here. Look over there. Yeah, this is turning south really fast. They definitely know what they're doing with their deck. That animator especially is letting them do a lot of kind of crazy stuff. But we just need to keep cycling, see if we can get that key charge turn at the end here. So we'll go into Sanctum, gain our 2 off that, unstun all of our creatures, and then just make it so they can't actually Secret Needle their own Rad Penny. Which is a little funny. But they're on check for... They will be on check for the last key probably here. I think Untamed is the right play. That leaves this open as a Logos phase shift into key charge if we need it. And we'll just kill this with the cooperative hunting. Whew. This is getting very close. Still no key charge, so that is most likely game. We do technically have some more. We can stop 3 more amber here. But this disc turn will probably do a lot. Yeah, so we're marked back into Untamed. Yeah. Bummer. Yeah, the double mark of Disc Screaming Cave combo is just really hard to play around if you can't just quite get that burst. We're going so fast at the beginning, but once they kind of really got this artifact lineup going, we just started drowning. I mean, honestly, having these 4 cards in the bottom of our recycle is not helpful, but I don't know if it would have been enough. This one might have let us sneak a key through, but they had a lot of creatures that could stop keys as well, so I think we basically had to have had key charge, but even that turn, we wouldn't have gotten enough amber for it, so still, good game. It was tough. And we'll just keep going. Oh. We'll see if he wants to play the same matchup again. This is my game, so if they don't, they're playing a different matchup. And for yeah, double bow, Star Alliance doesn't look too scary though, so we'll see. There's no Mark of Dis this time, so we at least have some freedom for some of our plays. Let's go Untamed. I'm actually not going to play the Lost in the Woods here. Against the Saurian, we definitely want to have that kind of open. I'm totally fine with them taking on some chains early. And cycling those back into deck. Those are just going to be pretty slow for them later on, so I think we're doing okay. We could always bring Lost in the Woods back until this dies, which they're Steel, Bonithing. Discard the Terms of Address. Of the cards in my hand, I think that's the one I'm definitely fine with losing, but we'll see. Definitely don't want to reshuffle any of these back into their deck, so this is definitely a Logos turn. Let's drop that. Go ahead and just do some ping damage there. Let's go on the right, and then we'll phase shift in the Raiding Knight. So they put the Mole on here because that actually really combos with the Curiosaurus. I really need to be careful of that later on because they can really kind of load up a bunch onto one of my guys with the Curiosaurus, and then I basically have no choice but to kill it or leave it there for them to Mole. Okay, good chance we're going back into Logos here. Chant of Hubris. There's nothing on this guy yet. I think we might just let him have this first key. I need to start getting some momentum going. I think that looks like keeping Logos moving. I don't know which is correct between these two. I guess if we see Effervescent, it's more correct to draw first, which we don't. And I think I'm okay not having played that. So also fight here. Again, nothing. Hunting Witch, of course. That's a bummer. But no actions for them on the next turn, but they are forging. And then they can use this Neurotaurus now to start doing some mean stuff to us. This guy can't cleanly fight. I mean, he can still fight to kill the Hunting Witch, but they're not going to get the fight effect. Takes out the Witch of the Eye. Interesting. So Fidget. Bonithing. Come on, one more. Oh, except they don't have any amber for me to steal. So that wouldn't help me anyways. Let's see. Untamed still the right play here. Let's go Sanctum. Drop a Naphael on the left. Play Staunch Knight on the right. And then we're just gonna reap here. So the one nice thing against this Curiosaurus is I have several 6-power creatures. So at least on my turn, I'll have the choice of where those amber are going. Just got 1 damage on the Hunting Witch. And they got a Sagittarius Gaze off of the New Frontiers. Ensign Alsamra has to die this turn. Okay, there's another Amber Pip, or Damage Pip to kill the Hunting Witch. Can you play one more creature? I want to get this life wipe off so bad. Oh, there's a Subject Kirby, so there's 2 more creatures. Fantastic. think we hold out one more turn on the Logos. Especially since we can do the life web turn here. So play that to steal. Do this, and then 5 damage. So we'll kill that, and then I really don't think we can let the Elsamra live. I'm going to put it on the Staunch Knight so that I can actually make it not the strongest creature if I actually just put something on the right of it. Really just trying to keep it from all stacking on one creature is your biggest concern with Curiosaurus. It's a really hard card to play well unless you practice with it a lot, and obviously mass mutation decks are often more suited to playing with it. Because I have this Lost in the Woods, I have a lot better shot because I can at least bounce a few of those before it gets too bad. But we'll see what he does here. Gonna see the Neotaurus do something, so I gotta make sure I'm watching that. I don't think he has 2 Axiom, right? Oh no, he does have 2. So might get hit with another Axiom here. And I don't have a true board clear, so me actually getting a lot of value off of the M4, off of not having a full board, is pretty unlikely as well. Okay, so I can't fight next turn. That's fine. I'll exalt here. And now all this amber is going to go on Gladiodontus if my creatures die. Okay, so can't quite get the value off of the Lost in the Woods here, so I think we're just going to go Sanctum. Can't fight. Do I go Logos? Let's go Logos, actually. This will be a little bit of sneaky stuff. We're going to go ahead and let's draw first. Blow up my own creature to start dumping amber on that guy. And then just get these mothers down and start cycling. Of course, we didn't draw any more Untamed. I think this is just going to be a pretty tough matchup at this point. They can kind of capture as much as they want now. Or just reap as much as they want. Sergeant Ezekiel, that's unfortunate. Secret Needle, so that amber will probably go here. Yeah. So I can actually fight this turn, so we can use the take hostages. Problem is, the guys that can all fight are the ones that already have amber on them. So it doesn't help me a ton. Maybe it is worth it. Just start loading up as much as we can on this guy. Alright, so I gotta think through this turn a little bit. Definitely playing on the left, play him on the left. Let's do a protect the weak on this one. Take hostages. So this guy's gonna fight the Nero Taurus. That Amber will go there. I think we're gonna fight, put it there. They're still forging at the moment, so we do need to fight once more, which is okay. Problem is this guy. We're starting to spread it out a little bit, but not quite enough. Did take him off check. I'll probably Axiom here. Problem is these guys being one less. Can't fight next turn. That's fine. There's the Axiom. There's a lot to think through at this point. It's not going super well. They're forging either way off of this. Unless I do the EP here. That still doesn't get me into check. It still might be worth it. No, I need to save the EP for when these die. Let's go Untamed. Play this guy on the left. Go ahead and Lost in the Woods for these two and those two. Key charge just to get that one locked away. And exhaust those two. It's not perfect, but it's the best we can do right now. But you can see their deck is very able to capture, especially with the M4. They can just capture on really small things and then kill those things on the same turn, especially like that Rad Penny and stuff. And so all of that just gets dumped on my bigger creatures. I don't really have many good ways to combat that. Yeah, that's what they're going to do here too. Just keep pouring damage onto that so that it gets dumped on him. Oh, they put it on him that time. My best bet is to make sure these are really tough for him to kill. You draw collision. Yeah, so they're at check now. An EP seems really bad. But it's basically my only out at this point, so just gotta do it. It's nice. You can needle fidget and Rad Penny. Technically, there's a chance we could get another key here, but no artifact control is really hurting us in some of these matchups for sure. facing some really tough stuff. And let's see, that will do it unless we can draw into something on logos, because we cannot stop them in Sanctum. They are at check with this monument. Let's go logos, draw. Okay, we got a phase shift, so there's a chance we could do something. But we did not draw anything to use with it, so blow him up, gets captured there. Reap. Phase shift in this guy. Good game. Definitely a tough matchup. These are some high-powered decks against my middling CotA, but you know, I want to see how it does against those. That's kind of why we're doing this, just to kind of really get it, see what its record is in actual competitive queues. So let's do a couple more. Got some time. That's so weird. I haven't been getting notifications for this site for like the past 2 weeks. I've been trying everything to try and figure out how to get it. And for some reason, it just started doing it again. Let's see. More mass mutation. Double mark of disc, double implosion, double mind fire, 3 sins, double seeker needle. Is this just all the fire sale decks people are testing, trying to get more practice with? That's what it feels like. We're definitely keeping this hand though. Lots of fun logo stuff going on, so we're gonna go ahead and just do the mother. Not a ton of creature control, so maybe we can wait out those implosions for a little bit. Probably not too well. We do have a nice phase shift into Hunting Witch play though, if we go logos. Okay, so just some shadows dudes. Problem is I don't have any protection once I start getting more of these out, but that's probably worth it. Against mass mutation, especially with this deck, I think the more we can just burst, the better. Alright, Trigon, Greed, Hadron Collision, Garcia, Researcher, and Mark of Dis. Okay, so they don't have a great mark turn yet. We do have to watch out for that. And Greed won't be online for a couple turns. Hadron is probably going to hit the Hunting Witch. Or you could just go into Shadows and fight it. They do look like they have a little bit of a clunky hand, so yeah, they're just going to dump some stuff here, which is fine. Very happy going back into logos once more. Although it does make me a little bit nervous about Mark of Dis. I could actually fight with these two just to make the mark less viable. This card is a little scary. Okay, and then 1 damage pip on there. So we are going to go back into logos. I think this is the right play regardless. Going to reap here. Greed and Envy now. So there's a good chance, especially if we get to check. They play those, otherwise Detention Coil, Seeker Needle, Shoulder Id. Still not great, but I think at this point we definitely want to play around the mark. So we're going to fight. Didn't draw anything. Fight. And then hope we don't hit Effervescent Principle. Ah, Library Babble. Beautiful. So depending on enhancements, that should be a key for us. Unless they have some capture, which this one... I don't know if any of those actually have capture on them. So we might be pretty set with this key, which would be great because we have a really nice untamed follow-up. Mark of Distance just kills something. I love Psychic Bug so much. Like, I should assume against a deck like this, I should just assume that they have Mark of Dis, but knowing for sure made that turn so much easier to navigate. Okay. We're going to do some mean stuff here. So we're going to do Untamed. We're going to drop one of these. And then Lost in the Woods. Both of these. I should have done the Cooperative Hunting first. That's okay. I'm going to hit her for 1 just so she can't be marked. And then this one really doesn't matter. I'll do that just so I can kill it with an Anomaly Exploiter. And lots of Untamed cards because we've been building with Logos for several turns. But we'll start seeing a lot more Sanctum now. Envy, Greed, Wrath is not the most scary Sin Suite, but it's really the Shadows, which they're probably going to start seeing more of here. That'll start wearing me down over time. Bruno, I don't have great answers to Bruno except for like the Lost in the Woods, which is very temporary. And then the Seeker Needles we saw last game, those do a lot. The last 2 games, really. Okay, Mugs, which is fair. I put the damage on it, so the Mug kills it, but I think learning to play again around Mark of Dis, this is a really good deck for me to like practice that because I lost some Swindle games pretty handily against Mark of Dis that I should have just been more careful about. So this feels like a pretty good turn to just kind of work on my Sanctum. I don't feel like super threatened by anything they have yet, so I don't know if I need to do that. We are going to put the Protect the Weak back on that, just again, try and get it a little bit more legs to get one more fight in. Might not make a difference. This could be a game where this actually starts doing a little bit more for me. It seems like people, like, obviously I haven't seen their hands every time, but it seems like the last couple games they've been playing around this a lot, and it worked out for them. Because I obviously didn't win those games, but it's one of those things where you don't really get to see, and when you're playing online, you don't really get to ask your opponent. Sorry, I just realized how high up that's been this entire video. You don't get to ask your opponent afterwards, like, what all they've been doing. I could try and type on here, but especially after these kind of long, grindy games, people just want to grind out more games. Amber Tracker actually could have been really bad in like a turn or two, so kind of glad to see that there. Oh. Can't fight anyways now with the Brain Eater, so, and then Blast Shielding on the Shoulder Id. So I kind of like the Sanctum turn here. This is already down. We can recapture 1, so we'll take them off check. We got this anyways. And the Glorious Few gets us 2, so we'd be going back into check. And kind of keep building back into those Logos and Untamed turns, so go ahead and do that. Nothing on here that I'm really worried about fighting at all at this point. So just no problem with that turn. Except we just drew 2 more Sanctum. Which is how it goes sometimes, especially when mothers are gone already. Should have 1 more to draw into. But lots of our strong actions coming up late game, so hopefully we're able to just push through that last key. Still surprised we haven't seen a lot of scary stuff. We might get marked here. Ooh, steal 1 off to take hostages with the Mind Fire. And then another one to discard Murmuk, which I don't love discarding that, but at least it's not a steal, so hopefully we're still getting this key. Mark of Dis back into Sanctum, I'm sure. Yeah, hit the Staunch Knight. And then Implosion the Staunch Knight. Seems pretty good. If I get the key, though, what we can do is actually forge, and then we'll have no amber, and then I can actually fight with this. Oh no, I can't because of the detention coil. Ah, second implosion. That's brutal. Well, I guess we're going Sanctum. Playing a sad Sergeant Zakiel. Can't do anything. So there you go, Mark of Dis. Such a good card. And I mean, with this Sanctum lineup, it's really hard to play around it. I kind of have to play the creatures for this deck to function. So I just have to kind of work through those turns. But at this point, I'm not sad to see more Sanctum because we'll have very little left by the end of the cycle. Sad detention coil, though. Anyways, what I was saying earlier is you can't really talk to your opponent about how they've played around your deck or like what their strategy was in the game. You don't get to see their hands and be like, oh, I know they actually held 3 creatures that turn just because they were worried about the Glorious Few or Life Web. Life Web especially, I've seen people like play hard around that too, because in this deck especially, if I have one of the witches out, I've been able to Life Web for like 4 steel, and then it's 2 amber on top of that, so it's like for 3 if you're reaping with a witch, so it's just a huge turn. Yikes. Don't like the Drekker. I don't like the Kirby. So this might be a Logos turn. Not sure why they dealt the damage to Kirby there. I guess mine all have amber or armor on them. And explore over. Okay. So Logos is not keeping them off of the key here. Sanctum would, but then they have a better follow-up. So I think Logos is the better call just to get more momentum. Yeah. There's no phase shift for life web, but go ahead and take out those. Oh shoot, we don't even have that out yet, so we are not getting the Anomaly Exploiter. For some reason, I could have sworn we had the Anomaly Exploiter down already, but I must be thinking of different games. But now next turn, we should be able to kill the Drekker. They have played a lot of Dis though, so well, all the sins are still coming, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just play a bunch of creatures here. Thankfully, the marks, the implosions, and the mind fires are all gone. So that basically leaves Grim Reminder, which doesn't get them much. They're going Shadows, so just going to reap out, get some value here. What do we have to draw with Logos? We know we have the EP coming. Bruno. Vandalize, so we might not have the EP coming. Definitely have to take a turn to gain some amber so that we can get this key charge right at the end. It's probably going to be our only win condition against this at this point. So these guys get us 3, 4, 5. What did they discard? Brain Eater. Okay, so they did not hit the EP. that's really the only card we would want to hit from the draw. I mean, at this point, that's actually fine, because we don't have any amber. And they fought, so we can kill that. They're stepping away for a minute, so I can at least think about this. I mean, fighting these guys don't really do hardly anything for me. These guys don't either, though, so, like, I'm running out of steam really fast here, and I wonder if it'd be better to hold off on... It might be, actually, to hold off on the EP play for one more turn. So I think I go Sanctum. So, Anafiel comes down on the left to protect Mother. We'll go ahead and play the Raiding Knight on the left there just to protect his Amber a little bit more. Gain 1 off the Clear Mind, and we'll just Reap with Ezekiel. It's probably about as good a draw as we could have gotten there. The problem is we still didn't deal with this Drekker, and they most certainly have a lot of disc creatures now. But it's basically just the Drekker and then the disc creatures, if they go that route. Snudge as well would not be great. How far off am I from this? 5. So if for some reason they don't Reap with the Drekker, I might have a shot of key charging. Otherwise, we're probably doing a Logos turn just to draw through, blow that up, maybe EP if needed. You guys going for a walk? Okay, thanks. Sorry, this is closer than I was hoping. They gotten a lot of value just off of using this board that I haven't wanted to fight into. Honestly, I might be able to just go one more Sanctum turn here. It doesn't seem great, but it does get me a draw through. The problem is right now, these are just dead. They're not getting me anything useful. What do they still have in Shadows? Have they played the Mug? Yeah, Mug is gone. Oh, Bow Nithing. It's not gone, so we might see. Bow Nithing here would actually be really rough. It would probably lead into that Effervescent Principle play. Am I just missing it? Could have sworn that was played already. Now, so they have an old Bruno, Bow Nithing, and then a bunch of disc creatures. So it's really whichever way they want to go. Unfortunately, this does not. Yeah, they're going Shadows. So Reap, and then Bow Nithing. And then they still have the old Bruno if they need it. Fights with Ezekiel. Oh, Secret Needle. Secret Needle. And then holding the bow. Yeah. Dang it. Oh, that's brutal. I mean, it makes my turn a lot more straightforward now because we've got. Let's see. 1, 2, 5. Problem is, he should still have the. he'll have the other old Bruno. Right? We haven't seen that. So we can just go back into shadows. And I don't think we'll have enough to be able to win off that. Because this turn I can get just 2 amber. So we actually want him to go dis. We're going to kill this. Okay. Gambling. That's all I got at this point. So we'll do that. Play the Scrambler Storm. Blow up this guy. Reap. Draw into a bunch of worthless Untamed. I mean, this guy might be relevant depending on that dis turn, but basically I have to win off of Untamed this next turn. Otherwise, I think I lose. But if he goes dis, could activate Life Web. If he goes Shadows, the Bow Nithing is down, so he plays Old Bruno, which captures 3, and I can bounce Old Bruno. Yeah, so he goes Shadows. Reaps across the board. Oh man, I'm gonna feel a little bit bad doing this, but I mean it's the reason why. It's one of the main reasons why I like this deck is that Key Charge wins games when you should not have won the game against way better decks. Like these are the kind of matches where it's just like this deck hits so much above the 66 SAS. All right, let's do it. So we're going to Life Web, dump him on the right, dump him on the right. We'll go ahead and toss them back in. Oh man. Whew. Yeah, that was so close. Man, I can't type. Ah. Good game. Oh man. Whew, that was close. But that is like the first time or first couple of times I did that with this deck where his deck was good. I wouldn't say it's like it was a crazy good deck. But most people would look at those two decks and say his has the advantage. I did when I first looked at it, especially because of that Shadows. I knew that was going to be a problem. But that Key Charge just makes this deck hit such a level above. I really like it. It's really unfortunate. I think Mass Mutation especially makes this card, like it's just so much less useful against Mass Mutation, and that's mostly what we faced today. Which is just a shame because it should be like a really good card, and I think against other sets it's doing a lot more, but in those games it meant almost nothing. Even against like the Mark of Dis and stuff, they just played other turns and then came back with a Mark of Dis because like that's not a Amber Control card. It's not stopping me from forging. It's really controlling my turns. Murmooks did not seem quite as important those games, unfortunately. I think just the way things went, and the Untamed is just where you do lose some of the value because you have like the Hunting Witch, but you don't have a Full Moon. You don't have some of those other cards that really just let these be worth a little bit more value. I mean, I shouldn't complain. Like Niflip is the only card in here that is not scary to my opponent. They have to kill the Witch of the Eyes. If they don't, they're in trouble. Except the only time I get the Witch of the Eyes to stick is turn 1, and they're not worth anything on turn 1 because I don't really have like, you know, fertility chant to like play twice or something. So, you know, it is an interesting house, but again, it's just barely enough to kind of get things out. So let's see how long we've been going. Hour and 15. That's probably enough for today. We got through a few more games there. Was that only 3? I think that was 4 games. So technically 2 more of these and we'd be done. I might play a few more off screen just so we can do kind of the last 4 or 5 on here and kind of wrap up that 100. But thanks so much for watching. I'm not going to do shout outs because I've done a lot already. I'm sure I've missed stuff. There's so many things to find, and most of them are easier to find than my content. So if you're finding mine, you probably know more other content than I would even tell you. Yeah, keep playing, keep digging into this game. Let me know what decks you are working on 100 plays with, because that's kind of, and why. I feel like that's one of the things that I've seen a couple people doing now. So like Dinobot is doing his NARP, which I think is 100 games with a deck that is probably a lot more competitive than this. It's a mass mutation one. Like I said, I have about 4 or 5 that I want to do this with. This is going to be the fastest one, and it's already going to be like 4 videos at least. So we'll see how much the other ones I do on video or not. I do think it's fun though. I get to kind of think through the plays, talk about, you know, different aspects of the deck throughout different matchups, which is, I think, the biggest reason why you would play something like 100 games with a deck, is because at this point, the amount of matchups and even just individual cards that you might have to worry about in any given game is so variable now that like it's hard to know how a deck reacts to like the broad range of matchups without playing tons of games. And so I think with this deck, 100 might be a lot because, like we saw, there are just some things it just can't even deal with. Artifacts, if they're too oppressive for this deck, then I just can't quite do it. But it's still good for me to know, first off, especially if I put this in some kind of like SAS Cap Triad or something like that, I can kind of know, okay, the artifact decks are the ones that I have to really be careful of. And that's not always true of every deck that has 0 artifact control, but there are artifacts like Amphora or Curiosaurus that this deck just doesn't quite deal well with. And so I'd have to kind of think about that, but I know that now after playing many games with it, that this is a deck that actually has some answers, but probably not enough most of the time if they have a lot of ways of capturing, especially the Amphora. Amphora is just such a dirty card. But cool. Thank you all so much for hanging with me today doing this deep dive, and we'll just keep going from here. Lots of things planned. We'll just see how fast I can get through them. I do want to start maybe doing some live streams on Saturdays starting in a couple weeks, but I've never done that before, so we'll just see how it goes. We'll just keep going with this. And I've opened so many fun decks that I want to play on stream. I'm trying to hold myself back from playing all of them, but I've almost finished opening all of my stuff from the fire sale, and I just feel like almost everyone I've opened in the last couple weeks has just been not necessarily like a fire deck, but just got some really interesting stuff going on. So I want to try and share some of those, and just again say how much I love the game and how excited I am for the new sets and stuff coming out, and just, you know, get to enjoy and have fun playing this great game. So thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time.